Welcome, my friends. We're very, 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 very fortunate today to be in the town of Burlington at Lester's Roadside BBQ. And here with the owner of Lester's is Doug Schaefer.
Hi, Ed.
Thanks a lot for the invitation, brother. We can't wait to get inside that building and have a little of this barbecue. But first, let's talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
We talked a little bit earlier. This is not your first career. You know more about this documentary business and filming than I do, probably. But that's where you started out. Give us a little background from there.
Yeah, I spent actually about 25 years in film and video production, and after that, I had been a pilot since I was in my 20s, and I'd always wanted to fly for one of the airlines. So I got out of the film and video production business and went to work for one of the regional airlines that was partnered with Delta. We operated as Delta Connection.
So in that background, of course, flying a plane, that's got to be a pretty exciting proposition, huh? That's a little bit different from being in a food business.
It definitely is exciting, and I enjoyed it. And
traveled all over the South.
Couple years, and I did a lot of flying into the South. Even though I was based here in Boston, we would fly into places like Memphis and Charlotte and Raleigh, Durham, and Greenville, Spartanburg. So on the overnights there, you know, you've got to go out for dinner.
Yeah, right,
and we started going out to all these barbecue places, and I'd take my crews out, and after a while, you know, I could see that my airline career maybe was going to be coming to an end pretty soon, because the company that I was working for at the time was going off in another direction, and they ultimately I got furloughed and they went bankrupt, as many airlines do. But I could see before that, you know, that I needed a new career. I needed to reinvent myself yet again. So I decided, you know, barbecue is great food. There's not that much of it in New England.
Right.
So, and I had always thought about opening a restaurant. That was on my short list of things I wanted to do in my life. And, but I never could quite, you know, get my hands around what kind of a concept I wanted to do for food until I went to the South and fell in love with barbecue.
And now, when you say barbecue, is that a generic word, barbecue? There's certain parts of barbecue that some people do here are a little different for you, the type of wood you use, all that kind of stuff?
You know, that's an excellent question, because when you say barbecue in New England, I think most people think about getting out the Weber grill and, you know, putting some hamburgers on, or hot dogs, or chicken. But when you say barbecue in the South, it has a whole different context. And whereas what our concept in New England is for barbecue, it's really grilling, where you're using direct heat under the food to cook it. Whereas barbecue in the South, you're talking about a pit smoking process. And when I say a pit, it's actually an enclosed chamber, and you're going to see our pit. And you're cooking with wood. The most common type of wood is hickory, but you're using an indirect heat to cook the product. In other words, the product, the food, whether it's ribs or pork or brisket, is in one chamber and the fire is in another.
Okay, so the wood provides the heat. The heat's transferred over under the food,
and it provides the smoke for the flavoring.
So now this is an hour. This is not something that you can't say, let's have some barbecue, and then we're going to run in and cook some barbecue. This barbecue we're going to eat today has been started days ago, hours ago.
Well, not days ago, but you know, it takes a long time. You know, the kind of the catchphrase of barbecue is low and slow.
Low and slow.
Okay, meaning that the food is being cooked at a low temperature, which helps to preserve the tenderness and the moisture of it, and it's slow cooked for a long period of time, hours. Like, for example, we're going to go in there and see pork shoulders, or we call them pork butts, that have been cooking about 12 or 14 hours. Brisket's about the same. So the low and slow, for real barbecue, you're cooking for long periods of time at low temperatures. Right.
And so that's the secret. So how long is it? I mean, is this something that takes a while to be able to learn how to do? I mean, you can't just say, I'm going to go in there and cook it low and slow. I mean, there has to be a little bit of a training process to be able to do this.
You know, it absolutely does, and you've got to get to know your piece of equipment, your pit that you're using. You know how that's gonna behave. They're all a little bit different. Even the atmospheric conditions will have an effect on how long it takes to cook the barbecue. The temperature and humidity will definitely have an effect on that.
So we're going to go in there in a little while. We're going to look at some food, and then we're going to have a taste something a little bit later. But what about the motif in the restaurant itself? Now I come up here, beautiful. I've been drive by here 1,000 times probably in my lifetime. Now you got the blues music on.
Right.
You got a little like a Route 66 motif with the old number plates and the signs. I think it's wonderful that people could come here and just look around and say, you know what I mean? Like you don't see a Coke case that's you haven't seen since you were a little kid, you know, where you collect all that stuff. You just pick it up.
We got gas pumps out there too.
Gas pumps. I saw them out front. Yeah.
You know, back when they were selling gas for 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah, right.
But if you know, the motif that I've got going here was, you know, drawn from my experiences of going to many barbecue places down in the South. And there, barbecues all over down there.
Right.
I mean, they even sell barbecue out of gas stations down there, which is kind of where I got the idea, you know, to have the gas pumps and a lot of the petroleum advertising that we have that you'll see here. But they have it, you know, there's guys cooking barbecue just by the side of the road. You know, maybe he's got a picnic table, and you know, you pull up there and he's got a cooker and an old school bus maybe that he's using for a kitchen. So and you know, and then of course you have the traditional restaurants down there too that have barbecue.
So what is there any like there's in the South, is there a barbecue? Somebody owns 10,000 barbecue restaurants. They just go across the South from Texas to Georgia.
Well, there are some chains down there. Yeah, there are some chains like Sonny's is a big chain. I think they're headquartered in Florida, and I don't know how many units they have. But
you think are we saying something? Are they going to be moving north? I mean, even Dunkin' Donuts is moving west. You know, is the Southern barbecue moving north a little bit, and see if we can catch up to some of that good food down there?
I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that you get the best barbecue at chains.
No, either. Maybe not. You're right.
I
like to own a chain of them, though. Maybe.
I think the best barbecue comes out of the small independent places, and you know, we have some of those up here.
Did you have to change the menu a lot from a Southern barbecue to a Northern type style of food?
Well, only a little bit. Like for example, cornbread.
Cornbread, yeah.
You know, we make a fresh baked cornbread here every day, and Southern style cornbread is not as sweet as what it is up here. As a matter of fact, it's not sweet at all, but people in the North seem to prefer a sweeter cornbread, so we had to make a little adjustment in our
So those are the little things you'll learn over a period of time.
Right. The other thing too is I think people in New England don't like as spicy of a food.
Really?
You know? So you know, we had to tone our recipes down a little bit, you know, after we
must be our culture. Us Yankees were pretty conservative. Bland, boiled potatoes from England. You know what I mean? That's true.
That's right.
That's true. Now, how did you develop the menu? Did you just develop it slowly, or when you were ready to go in the business and open the store, you just developed the menu?
Oh no, it's
changes all the time. You have to make some changes.
Yeah, we do, but our menu's pretty much standard, pretty much the same as like if we tried to draw you know, menu items from the South, from Texas barbecue. Yep. We do a little bit of a Tex-Mex thing here with our wraps. It's like a burrito. But the menu was, you know, something that I developed, you know, based on, you know, again, my travels in the South and what you'd find in a typical Southern barbecue restaurant. Now, they're not big on side dishes down there. You know, we have a lot more side dishes down there. It's kind of more about the barbecue, and the side dishes are sort of secondary, and they don't have a big selection.
So the next plan is, I think what we ought to do is go inside and look at the pit, and get some food. When we come out, we're going to talk a little bit about the menu, the store itself, and you're going to must have a website and all that stuff. We'll talk about that. We'll get those numbers up on the film too. So why don't we go inside and take a look at the pit?
Great.
Okay, kids, here we are at the slavery exhibit. Now, as you can see, the slaves were kidnapped from their homes, chained together for weeks. They would cram them onto these ships in very appalling conditions.
Thousands of women and children are being smuggled across the border.
Sexual trafficking of children. As you can see right here, they were treated like animals. They worked all day long for no pay.
In sweatshops raided by police, children forced into slave labor.
Some of the slave masters were very cruel. They whipped them and they beat them, as you can see in some of these pictures.
Torture and assault can be brutal, even fatal.
So, before moving on, are there any questions?
Does this still happen today?
All right, friends of What's on the Menu, here we are in the kitchen with Doug, and Doug is going to prepare some ribs, I think.
Right. Now, the secret to, one of the secrets, I should say, to good barbecue is you've got to have a rub to put on your ribs before you smoke them. And a rub is basically a blend of spices and sugar and salt. And every good barbecue guy has his own kind of secret rub. And what that looks like, you can see that it's just a blend of spices, and I put some of them up here, so you can see we use paprika, black pepper, chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, little red pepper, onion powder, and then of course we use kosher salt and sugar.
Now
we use brown sugar.
These are all the fakers. The real ones we're using for the rub are in the back, so nobody can see them, right? Is that the way this goes?
Well, we throw a couple of other ingredients in there, but these are the real ones. These are the basic ingredients for a rub. So now what we do is the day before we cook the ribs, we put the rub on them, and we use a St. Louis cut rib. This is a pork spare rib, and you can see how nicely trimmed it is. And basically we're going to just take this, take the rub and just sprinkle it on, and then rub it in.
So a rub is a rub.
Into the meat. Yeah, literally, you're literally rubbing it into the ribs.
Now, does that penetrate right into the meat itself?
Exactly. So these are going to, after we get finished rubbing them, we're going to put these in our refrigerated walk-in overnight, and the flavor from the spices is going to get absorbed into the meat. The salt is also going to get absorbed and help to tenderize the meat. And then tomorrow they'll be ready to go in the smoker.
Ready to go in the smoker.
Yeah. Okay, we're in the kitchen here. This is Dave Carey, our manager here, and we're in front of our big J&R pit. This is made in Mesquite, Texas. It's about $27,000 worth of equipment, believe it or not, and it does an awesome job of cooking our barbecue. So we're going to open up the pit here. This is actually the cooking chamber, and the firebox is down below here. Okay, we've got, there's a whole intricate series of dampers and fans that allow the heat from the fire and the smoke to circulate into the cooking chamber. So Dave's going to take out some of these St. Louis ribs now. These have been cooking about 4.5 hours, 4 to 4.5 hours. These ribs were rubbed yesterday, and they sat in the refrigerated walk-in overnight with the rub on them to absorb the seasonings. And notice they've got a beautiful mahogany color to them. They've got a little bit of crispness on the outside. We call that a bark.
Now, as I look at this, is this like burnt along the edges?
The sugar actually that's in the rub actually caramelizes on the outside and gives it that dark mahogany color and a great flavor. Okay, so we've got some of the ribs out. Now we also have some pork butts, which are actually pork shoulders, but they're called butts. That name goes back to, I don't know, decades or hundreds of years ago from the way they used to pack them in barrels. And Dave is taking these pork butts out and putting them in the tub here. These are about 6 to 7 pounds a piece. They're boneless, and these have been smoking now about 14 hours. And so now he's actually going to start pulling them apart, hence the term pulled pork sandwiches. So literally, the pork by this time is so tender that you're going to just basically pull it apart with your hands into little chunks and then shred it.
Now that looks like a real difficult job to do right there.
Okay, now one thing that you might notice is the pinkness around the outside of the skin there. This is a result of the smoking process. And this is caused by a chemical reaction with between the meat and the smoke and the moisture that's in the pit, and that's what causes that pinkness. And you'll see that particularly around the outside. You'll see it on the ribs later on. This is the mark of real pit smoke barbecue, is what they call the pink smoke ring. What we do next is we just put a little North Carolina vinegar-based barbecue sauce on it. This is just a thin barbecue sauce. It's got some ketchup in it, some red pepper, some salt, and this is very common in the eastern part of North Carolina. In western North Carolina, they use more of a ketchup-y type of barbecue sauce. So this just gives it a little moisture and some additional flavor. It's nice because the spiciness plays off against the sweetness of the pork. And Dave's going to make a sandwich here. And boy, does that look delicious. There's nothing like a good fresh pulled pork sandwich.
Now we're going to look in this oven here. What do you got in there?
This is another smoker, a little bit different from the J&R, and this is what we use primarily for our wings, our chicken wings, and our barbecued chicken. And here, I'm going to
take a look.
Open this up. We've got some wings in here that have been cooking. Now this has a
conveyor type
carousel in it, so that the whatever you're cooking, in this case the wings, they're moving through the oven continuously during the cooking process, so that they're cooking evenly.
It looks and smells unbelievably good. Look at that. Each one perfect.
Look at that beautiful golden
Yeah,
brown.
look at the color, huh? Now here we are back outside to do the most important part of the program as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sure.
Now we've been pretty well educated relative to barbecue. Inside now we looked at a little brisket chicken, pulled pork. That was a great demonstration, Dave, pulling that pulled pork apart. That was great. All right, now I can't wait. I'm watering now. Where do you want me to start
well,
here?
here's the pulled pork sandwich.
All right.
All All right, so you might as well dive into this. You might want to have a little bit of sauce. That's got our North Carolina style vinegar sauce on it, but you might want to have just a little bit of our Smoky Mountain sauce, which we make here. It's a traditional hickory flavored barbecue sauce.
So my wife doesn't yell at me. I suppose I'm going to take a couple of bites. I'm never going to finish the whole thing.
It's barbecue, Ed.
And while I put this into my belly, I want you to talk a little bit about your website. You can give us we'll put it on the film later.
Sure.
And talk a little bit about catering from 10 to 1500. I read on the brochure.
Yep.
So go ahead.
We cater all types of corporate events, company picnics, safety meetings, customer appreciation events, and then of course social catering. You know, we're doing lots of graduation parties in the spring. We do retirement parties, birthdays, christenings, you name it. So we do a lot of catering, and we also do a cook on site catering where we'll actually bring our wood-fired grill out and finish the ribs and chicken on the grill after they've been smoked at the restaurant here.
Now here's a couple of, when you come to the store, if you have a lot of hungry people to feed, bring them over here.
Right.
We'll take care of them.
We've got the packages, what we call pickup
packages.
Did you see that on the back?
Yes, I did.
So
now, I kind of interested in these pictures where this is the olden days. They did it outside. They had a whole bunch of people just kept turning and turning in the slow hickory smoke food.
Those are pictures from Georgia and Florida archives.
This is delicious. If you look at them all, they're looking at me like I'm some kind of a weird person.
And then we've got save room, because this is our coleslaw here, which we make from scratch. Not too sweet. It's got just a little bit of bite to it. I think the whole interesting thing about barbecue dishes is you're always playing off the sweetness against the tartness or the spiciness of it. And our food's not.
I think it's a great combination, though, right?
Yep. But it's always kind of you're always trying to achieve that perfect balance between the sweetness and the tartness. Okay, now what we've got here for you, I'm going to just move this out of the way, is basically a 3-meat combination platter. So we've got our Texas sliced beef brisket. That gets smoked about 16 hours overnight. We've got the wings that you saw, and then we've got our St. Louis ribs. And just wanted to point out here that pink smoke ring that I was telling you about.
Right, that's a pink ring, right?
You can kind of see that. Right?
That's
actually, it's a little bit more prominent
on this one,
right here. Yep.
That's one of the most important things you look for, right?
That's the mark of real barbecue. That's right. Then we've got our Lester's famous baked beans here. We bake these beans overnight in the oven, right from scratch, and then our fresh baked cornbread.
All right, I'm gonna use my fingers.
Try some of that brisket. See that smoke ring on that brisket?
Right here. Look at that. You see that?
Now I didn't put any sauce on this because I hate to cover up.
That's melting your mouth,
yeah,
huh?
I hate to cover up good barbecue with sauce. That's what a lot of places do, and really good barbecue, you don't need sauce on it. It should stand on its own. Isn't that good?
That's surprising. That's surprising. You're picking up, like a piece of roast beef you might have on Sunday afternoon, but now that's a melt in your mouth type of deal.
It's got that nice smoky
delicious
flavor.
Very good. Very good.
And those are our baked beans.
I try everything on the plate before we're through. Yep.
And then
this is wonderful.
We've got a real southern side dish here, collard greens.
Collard greens.
Collard greens.
People in Massachusetts don't eat collard greens.
But
they're not eating grits and gravy either.
No, but
you know what I mean?
You'd be
I don't
surprised.
get it.
They come in here and they try these collard greens, and They really like them.
Because I go to Demoulas, I see them there, and nobody, people really don't eat them. Well, how are they prepared? How do you prepare collard greens? Boil them up?
You boil them with seasoning, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of chicken stock, and we take a little bit of meat off the ribs and chop it up and put it in there for flavoring too. People love our collard greens. We get people.
We may try this. I may try this at home. Collard greens. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah. Very good, actually.
You can't overcook them.
Wow.
Cook them.
We don't want this to go to waste now, do we?
And then you got to try a bite of that cornbread and some ribs. Now, if you want some barbecue sauce,
No?
I've got some here.
I'm going to try it without it first.
It's good without. Now, a good rib, the meat should just pull right clearly off the bone, real clean off.
Is there any proper way to eat it, or you just eat it?
Just like you're doing.
Yeah. Pulls right off the bone.
Meat should just pull right off the bone.
Unbelievable. They're all hungry now.
I can imagine.
You can come in here on a nice dinner, sit down with your family, have a couple of beers while you make, huh?
We've got beer and wine. We've got this nice outdoor patio. Wednesday nights we have all-you-can-eat wings and ribs.
Really?
Yeah, wings, ribs, 2 side dishes, and cornbread.
That's wonderful.
So every Wednesday night. Friday nights we have a cruise night here. In the May through October, we have we usually get about 25 or 30 classic cars from the 50s and 60s.
Oh, right, yeah. People do that.
We've partnered up with the New England Classic Chevy Club. So we do that on Friday nights.
What have we missed? Everything on the menu can go out the door, right?
Everything, we can cater anything.
Call up.
Anything on the menu.
Give us a half an hour to get it ready. We come by, we'll deliver it to you.
Yep.
How about if I can't get out of the house? Can you deliver me something?
We are doing local delivery in the evening in the Boston area, and of course we'll deliver catering anywhere. We go, for the catering, we go into southern New Hampshire, we go out to central Mass, we go down to the Cape. So we'll drive anywhere for catering. And we do any size group up to about 1,500.
Sweet, sweet bread. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
And we do have a website. I don't think I mentioned that, but we do have a website.
LestersBBQ.com.
LestersBBQ.com, and all the menus are on there.
Jennifer Garrow will write that down. That'll be on the film once we go.
Special events.
Let me tell you, brother, this has been a very, very, outside of the outstanding food, very educational as far as I'm concerned. Thanks a lot for the invitation. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. My pleasure.
Thank you. Next time. Beautiful. Unbelievable.